does it seem like fighting games when they first come out, after not so long, they just seem to drop in their player base. This person in Reddit, this was another Reddit conversation, was talking about Guilty Gear Strive and Multi Blood, as in that they just not too long recently came out, but it seems like their player base when they first came out to now has just significantly dropped, in his opinion. So, give it to you guys. Is that something that you really feel like does happen in the FGC a lot? Games come out, it's a big boom for them, and then they just fall off. Starting with you, Mr. Gaming Love.
I think a lot of it has to do with the previous topic that we just talked about. Oh, get out of here, man! You trash. All right, okay, I'll leave. But no, seriously, I think it does to some degree, but um, I think it's just the nature of games, and it also depends on how popular a game is. Like in terms of like the games that just came out, like Melty Blood, obviously Guilty Gear was going to be more popular than Melty Blood. One, the marketing and just that the whole context of the game was different than Multi Blood. The game looks far better than Multi Blood. I think Multi Blood looks bad, and they are two different art styles. But you look at the regular customer looking at both games, more than likely the regular consumer or just buying video games or the casual fighting game is going to get Guilty Gear because it's more explosive, it's prettier on the eyes, you know. And of course, we all know that Multi Blood is the urinal fighting game. Like nobody, not many people are going to be playing that. People keep making the memes about, playing. Got to sit up on the toilet, on the tank on top of the
Oh,
toilet. So
I know multi-blood players hate that joke now. It's like
it's just like, I mean, if it actually happened, I mean, I guess you can't deny it. If you walk in the bathroom and somebody, hey man, I got nicks. Like what? Okay, but no, seriousness though, it's like games like that, like Multi Blood is not that popular of a game like previously. Like it again, it's a very niche like community. So even the new one comes out, it's still got more people interested in the game because it's a newer game. But I still don't think over time it's gonna hold it. Because even look at French Bread's previous entries. Undernight. I remember when Undernight first came out on PS3, I bought it and it was kind of popping for a while. I was playing online for a good bit, and then all of a sudden it's like you barely can find a match online. A lot of those like more niche games, you go online, there's nobody playing them. Even when I got Multi Blood, not Multi Blood, but Undernight on the PS4 when it came out with the extra characters, again it's popping. Then after a while, nobody's hardly online. So it's like those games just it's like by nature, like this gonna happen. Again, we talked about this before, people that get into the game and they just want to win or mash buttons, and then they start playing people that are decent and they start losing, then it's like, man, I'm just gonna sit here and lose, just hop on the game to lose. I'm gonna go play something I can win. So I think that's part of it too. Again, also IP like Dragon Ball. I think Dragon Ball is like still popping. Like probably the most popular fighting game, like top three, I would say right now. Probably Dragon Ball, Street Fighter, and like Tekken. And if I had to put ranks, I'd probably put Dragon Ball maybe number one or two. Like you go on there and look at the lobbies, there's still people playing. It's real active online, and it's Dragon Ball. Like it's a Dragon Ball game that they really took the time to like make look like a Dragon Ball game. It sounds like a Dragon Ball game. All the attacks are there. It's open enough for new players to use like the auto combos and be able to do stuff. So a game like that is gonna survive, but a game it just depends on what the game is. Like I think Tekken is like earned its stripes for sure over the years. Tekken 7 is doing really well. Again, it's a really good looking game. It's got guest characters. The music is outstanding. And again, it's one of those games where, Tekken is a chain fighter, regarding to like the inputs. You just press stuff and you do stuff. Most people that play fighting games or the casual just want to press buttons and do stuff. So they're just going to, play those types of games. And even especially with their friends and stuff like that. But yeah, I just think that's what that is. Just the fact that depending on what the game it is, it's just the nature by nature of fighting games, the player base is gonna dwindle. And I mean, look at shooting game stuff. You concurrently see like 100,000 plus viewers on there and players too. So it's just fighting games just not quite in that category. So
yeah, I would say there are a couple of factors as to why I think player base drops for fighting games. One, if we look at like the FGC influencers, a lot of them talk about the content grind. When you get a game and a lot of people are just playing the game for like hours and hours on end. And naturally, if you do something a lot. If you do a lot of something, it gets kind of monotonous. And I think a lot of people, they're trying to get like content and videos and everything out there, whether it be on Twitter, YouTube, whatever. And so they're just playing the game a ton when it comes out and putting out all this information for it and everything. But once the well kind of starts to dry up, excuse me, about to, well, the sneeze was coming, I guess not. But once the well dries up, then, it's not really as fun anymore. And so I think that's part of it, at least on like the influencer FGC content maker side. On the casual side, I still think it comes back down to content. And let's be honest, a lot of these more niche games, they don't really have the content that's necessary to keep people interested. I always go back to NRS games when it comes to content. Like they're the kings of content. You can say what you want to about NRS games, whether they get patched to death or whether the people abandon them after like 1 or 2 years. NRS games, they'll always have stuff for you to do outside of just fighting. And I think that's the problem with a lot of fighting games, that it's just about fighting. You can't do anything else except fight. NRS games, of course, you have like the ladders, you have the story mode, you have the dailies and all this other stuff that you can do. And that encourages you to play the game outside of just going online and fighting people all the time. So you might be more inclined to play more matches and stay on. Heck, I'm sure I can boot up Injustice 2 now and still be able to find people, just because people will still play that game just because there's stuff to do outside of just fighting. And then when you boot it up for the stuff outside of fighting, you'll be more inclined to like, all right, well, let me hop online for a game or two to see what's up. A lot of these other games, especially if they're more niche, there's just, all you do is just fight. And well, that can get boring after a while, especially if the game doesn't have as much depth to it. And I think with Melty Blood, some games are just flavor of the month. They come out and, they're played for a while and then they go. It's just the nature of the beast. That's how it is. I mean, it's not even just a fighting game thing. That's a lot of games that are like that, where they come out, they're good for a month, and then, people move on. They don't really talk about it until like the end of the year discussion, where we go over like the best games from the year or something like that. So, it just is what it is. People are going to lose interest. That's just the nature of the beast. But I do think that a lot of what fighting games could do to make that better is just have more content in their games to encourage you to play outside of just fighting. That way, when it's time to fight, people are more inclined to do so.